I am Rosemary Hyde, teaching for Living Peace Now, and today we're going to talk about some expressions and play with them, and then we're going to work with a writing exercise with a contrast and compare question. So I'm going to share my screen. So look at the words, and each word has a sentence down below. So tell me any words that you'd like us to focus on.
Number two.
One? Number two.
Number two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that one would be one. On the dot. That always refers to time when somebody says that, on the dot. So if you look at sentence 2, it's used in a sentence. You want to read it?
Yes, I can read it.
Go ahead.
We are meeting at 6 on the dot.
Okay. In other words, this person wants to really emphasize that you got to be on time. Don't be late. Okay. That's the message of on the dot. They're really paying attention to being on time. So they might say, the one that would be funny would be, we're meeting at 6:14 on the dot, which is kind of crazy because 6:14 isn't a time that, anybody really remembers. So that would turn it into a joke. Okay. Tell me another one. Number 3, go back to the drawing board. Okay, read the sentence.
Our permit was not approved, so it's back to drawing board.
Can you figure out what it means?
So it means we have to do it all over again.
Yeah. You have to go back and do what you did and do it again and do it, so it gets approved this time. So back to the drawing board means, okay, we tried something and it didn't work. So we got to try it again.
Number 4.
Number 4. Oh yeah, that's a good one. The third degree. Go ahead and read the sentence.
When I arrived home very late, my father gave me the 3rd degree. Okay.
Can you figure out what it means?
Late.
When I did.
I've seen it being mentioned to murder, 1st, 2nd degree murder, 3rd degree murder, something like that.
Yeah, right. So that's not what it's talking about, but yeah, that's a good reference to think of. And I really don't know the source, the origin of that expression. I think it has to do with an initiation that, is a painful ceremony, but it must involve asking a lot of questions, because to give somebody the 3rd degree means you ask them endless questions to the point where it's torture. It's like, okay, enough already. Give me the 3rd degree means he asked me over and over and over again. So it's not something you look forward to, the 3rd degree. Karen, do you have a dictionary where you can look it up? I'd be curious about the origin.
14 minutes, 14.
14, okay.
Yes,
To see
eye to eye.
To see eye to eye. The image is that you and the other person are looking each other right straight in the eye. But it has to do with not having any conflicts. When you see eye to eye with someone, it means that you agree wholeheartedly. Read the sentence, 14. Can you see it on your screen, the sentence? Number 14.
They have almost nothing in common. They have almost nothing in common, but when it comes to comic books, they see eye to eye. They see A to A.
Eye to eye, right. What does that mean?
Eye to eye. The correct mean is eye to eye.
That's
Eye
right.
to eye.
Eye to
Yeah,
eye.
eye to eye.
So when it
Yeah.
comes to comic books, they see eye to eye. What does that mean?
As it meant come to comic book. It's meant that reading the comics maybe.
Yeah, they agree. They both agree about everything about comic books. They have the same opinion of comic books, one as the other, even though they don't agree about anything else. They see eye to eye on comics.
It's why it means that agree that everything about the content of the comics here.
Yes,
So is it something can be it means that can be used to the other sentences here. For example, when we are talking about not only about the comics, but for the others also the commonly
Whatever.
use the sentence. It's okay.
it's whatever people agree about. Whatever people agree about, they see eye to eye on that subject.
Eye to eye.
Yeah.
Eye to eye.
Okay, coming back to the third degree. Karen, did you find it?
I did. The phrase comes from the practice of interrogation under torture, where 3 degrees of torture were recognized of increasing intensity. In other
Okay. So does it say what the context of that was?
In other, it said, well, it just says torture.
Yeah. I mean, who decided on what's the third degree of torture?
A good question. Under that, there's a different origin, and it says intense interrogation by police, 1900, probably a reference to third degree of master mason in Freemasonry.
I kind of had a thought that that was what it was. Yeah, that it came from Masonry, and it came from the initiation, that you had to know a lot of stuff to, pass into the third degree.
Yeah.
But now it means, now it's about torture. Okay, what other numbers? Any other words that you're not sure what they mean?
Cherry pick. 20.
20.
Cherry pick.
Cherry pick.
Cherry
Cherry pick.
Sure.
That's an interesting one. Read the sentence. No, it's that's wait a minute. That one is in 16 sentence. 16.
16. Cherry pick. 20.
Do you want to read it, Abu?
Yes, she sells the most cars because the cherry picks the most promising customers, leaving the rest of us with the reluctant ones.
Okay, so tell me, the person saying that, how does he or she feel about the person who sells the most cars?
I am not sure, but I think that he is not happy about how he was treated by
Right.
the one who sells cars.
Exactly. because this person is accusing her, whoever she is, of picking out. That's what cherry picks means, selecting the best, picking out the best looking customers and making sure that she talks to them. So the ones that really look interested in buying a car, she cherry picks them. And then that means that she sells more cars because she's a good cherry picker. So
This is like
cherry pick
mostly-
means to pick out the best for yourself, selfishly.
like in context of debates, when some people like cherry pick some facts and they use it instead of seeing the whole thing.
Yes, very good. Excellent. It's kind of a negative statement. You know,
Yeah, it is.
you're blaming the person that you say is cherry picking for not being aware of everybody else. So it has an interesting little negative connotation to it. It's not something you'd say about somebody that you like.
Can we
Good.
see the word list?
Sorry, right.
Any other words?
There is a word number 9, err on the side of caution.
Yes.
Like I've seen it, it's like I've read it, it's a Latin word. Error means error in Latin, but there is an expression called errare is humanum. It's like to make error is human. But here, I don't know what it means, the whole expression. Err on the
Okay.
side of caution.
Err is an interesting word. It's a verb, and it means to make a mistake. So if you're given a choice, it's saying it's better to, if you're going to make a mistake, it's better to be cautious than to be impulsive or too fast, rash. So the sentence is the same one. Sentence 9. Somebody want to read it?
No one seems to know what level of pollution could be safe. So it's better to err on the side of conservation by stopping all pollutions in the river.
And it's interesting that it's not always on the side of caution. You can substitute other words, but it always has a meaning of being careful, being cautious, and not going too far.
Okay. Or to take sides, right? To one side,
What?
in order to take precaution, you take one side.
Yes.
You pick and choose one. Yeah.
It's better to be safe is really, what it always means, to err on the side of whatever, but you're being safe. Okay. Any other words? Let's pick one more and then we'll go on to the writing.
Let's pick 18, draw a blank.
Draw a blank. Okay. So it's basically referring to when you pick up cards in a card deck. If you pick up a card with nothing on it, you've drawn a blank. So let's read sentence 19.
Here, I think it means something else, isn't it? It's like when you go blank, right?
Yeah, when your mind
Remember
empties
anything.
out, there's nothing in there. You can't think of
Yeah.
anything. Okay, so read sentence 19.
I studied
Okay.
art for the test, but drew blank when I saw the first question.
I
It means
drew
like
a blank when I saw the first question. In other words,
Confused.
I couldn't
It's
think
when
of
that-
anything.
the drought playing, I think, the confused, yeah, or maybe something because they don't have any preparation, maybe, or yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Right. But the comparison, the analogy is I picked up a blank card, but it's not talking about cards, it's ideas. And when you draw a blank, it's like, duh, I don't know the answer, but I know it. You know, it's like, I just can't think of it right now. That happens to the best of us. Okay, so let's move on and talk about compare and contrast questions. Compare and contrast have two different meanings. So if they ask you to compare two things, what does that mean you're supposed to do?
Can I say something?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
when you ask to compare something, you have to tell which one you think that it is better and explain why you did choose it.
I think that's a contrast question. When you think one of them is better or different in some way than the other, that's contrasting. What is comparing? It's the opposite.
When your purpose is to show how similar things are, so you compare them rather than contrasting them.
What are you doing when you're comparing them?
When your purpose is to show the similarity between two things.
The similarities, yes. You're talking about how they're similar. And it's kind of fun when the two things you're comparing don't look similar at all. When you want to say, for instance, how a tiger is similar to a house cat or to a baby kitten. They don't look alike at all. Obviously, they have similarities. But, you know, if you just talk about the similarities, that's comparing. Then you can talk about, if you're asked to contrast, how they're different. But in a test, you have to be sure that you are giving the answer that you were asked for. So if they say compare and contrast, then you are asked to do both, and usually to choose one or the other and say why. So the underlined sentence is a question for you to write about this coming week. Some people prefer cooking at home, while others prefer eating out at restaurants. Compare and contrast these two options or choices and state which you prefer. So that question says to compare and contrast and choose one and say why you prefer it. So that has a structure that goes with it. And it's always a good idea in a test situation to plan before you actually write. So the structure is here. So for the introduction, you need a sentence that rephrases the question and states which one you prefer. Somebody want to take a stab at saying what that sentence would be? And it doesn't matter which one you say you prefer. You just have to be able to give reasons. The one, and you need to rephrase it. You need to say the same thing and use different words. So you might want to talk about, for instance, every day after work. Although it's possible, I can choose between eating at home or going to a restaurant. I would prefer, what would you prefer?
if I went to lunch or restaurant,
Yeah, I mean,
if
which
I went,
one? Would you rather go home and eat, or do you rather go outside, go out and get food at a restaurant?
I often eat my food on house. I prefer house. I prefer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when after work, generally, I prefer to go home and cook,
Yeah.
right? That's your preference. Okay, so the second paragraph,
Yeah.
or the first body paragraph,
Yeah.
is going to talk about what are the benefits of eating at home. So give me some benefits.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment when you eat with your family and you feel pleasant. Yeah,
Okay,
and also, yeah, and the most beautiful food is at home, and also I prefer to eat my home, my food in my home. Yeah, it's
so
beautiful.
you got to give us
And we all,
a couple of reasons.
the reason
Yeah. So you
I
like eating with
think
your family.
yes, eating with the family is beautiful and
Yeah.
good and
What
delicious.
else?
I
What else?
feel good. Yeah. They have another opinion. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, of course, that's what you're going to write about, is your personal opinion. You can't write about anybody else's personal opinion. So you get to eat food you really like. Give me another benefit of eating at home, another reason why you like to eat at home.
Okay.
You,
Yeah.
I was about to say you might want to eat at home because you want to save money.
You can save money. Okay. Anybody got another one? Another
Eating
reason?
at home is cheaper, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Eating
you save money.
cheaper.
Yeah. Right.
Cheaper. Yeah, cheaper.
Yeah. Also, I got one. And also like big responsibility to take care of your family and to bring them food.
Say that again.
Yeah. It is big responsibility when you bring food for your family and they cook it for you and with your brother and sister. It's big responsibility. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So those are reasons you can actually put in your sentences in your first body paragraph. And the second body paragraph then asks you to explain the benefits of the second choice, going out to restaurants. So who wants to give me some benefits for that?
It could actually going out with the family could uh, like could make the relationships better. Like then, for instance, you could give an example of one of the happiest countries in the world is Finland, where people 70% of people, they go out all the time. Like they are out 70% of the time. So this is an example you could give.
Okay. So good, you got an example. That's even better. Okay, any other reasons for eating out rather than eating at home?
But one thing, you don't have to prepare it.
Yeah, right. I know a lot of people who say, I don't care what I eat as long as I don't have to make it. I like the variety. I mean, I'm not a good cook in 5 different nationalities, but I can go to a Thai restaurant a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant, an Ethiopian restaurant, and a Mexican restaurant, and have a wonderful set of meals from different cultures. And there's variety in them. I like variety.
And also, in some cases, food is also cooked professionally in restaurants. So the quality of food is good.
Okay. I think I've got it up here, food better prepared. Okay, anything else?
Like tasting beautiful or delicious food at restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like pizza.
yep. Okay, so we got a bunch of reasons for why people might want to eat out rather than eat at home. So your third body paragraph is going to be, you choose. You say which one you like better. How many of you would choose eating at home? We know that Sabri did. Who else?
I was eating at home.
Zabi, okay. And who would prefer to eat out?
Yes, I will choose this one.
You eat what?
I will eat out.
You will eat out. Yeah, I choose to eat out often. Not all the time, but often. And I also like leftovers. So when I go to a restaurant, I eat half of the food and bring the other half home, and I have that the next day. And it's just as good and sometimes better. I know a lot of older Americans that do that. That don't
Could
cook very much.
Could we choose to be neutral?
Huh?
Could we choose to be neutral here? Could we not take sides? Could we just say that?
Oh, well, no, it's, you have to take sides. You have to take sides when you're answering this kind of question. And who cares? You know, it's not a big argument. But it tells you to take sides. You have to decide which one you prefer. So then you mention a couple of other benefits, reasons why you like the choice you like. And then you strengthen your argument by adding a couple of disadvantages to the side you didn't take. And then you come to the conclusion where you say, basically, you know, either way can be good. We can get good, nourishing food, either at home or in a restaurant. I prefer, more often than not, I prefer to go out because I just enjoy eating in different places. And there you've got it. So you've got the fishbone outline. You've planned what you're going to write. Once you've got it planned like that, then you go ahead and write it. Then what you're concerned about is which words am I using? Am I showing that I am fluent with English expressions? Am I using good sentence structure? And am I introducing each paragraph with words or phrases that explain clearly what is going to be in this next paragraph? And so I gave you a list at the bottom of what you scored on. And those are basically the scoring points, what you get points for in the exams. And the last two are important. Your essay needs to have at least 350 words. And you need to stop when the bell rings at 30 minutes. So the skill is being able to plan very quickly what you can put in each point and then create the points and then read it over all in 30 minutes. So there's a process. I'll put that in there too.
Yeah, teacher. Sorry, I have
Yes,
question about this
yes.
homework. Do I need to write it as normal message in your group, or how do
Okay, so when we're
to
doing the
pull
homework,
it?
I'm asking you to post it on the WhatsApp group that says TOEFL.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay,
Yes, you said earlier that our essay should have 350 words.
right.
So if we write an essay that don't have that, what would be the consequences?
Well, you lose points. It can be over 350 words, but not under. That's the TOEFL standard. So when you write and you come up with 172 words instead of 350, what can you do what can you add? Where can you put in more words without weakening your writing? Anybody?
We could add another actually reason and argument.
Another what?
Another argument, like we have chosen something in contrast, like in similarities. So what we do is we could add one more point that for this reason this is good or this is bad.
Absolutely. If you
And
only have 2 points, you can add a third. Essays
Hmm.
do not have more than 3. So if you have 3 points, what can you add?
statistics, examples,
Statistics, examples, yes. You add
personal experience.
details, you add stories, you add an example. That's right. And that's something that when you have some skills, some writing skill, and you see that you're short of words, that's, what to do. Say, okay, I need another example. Where can I put one? And you just add it.
What
Very
if
good.
what if we come up with 250 but the quality is good, like the content quality is really good rather than 350 or 400, which is not good? So will
The,
that give us
the number has to be at least 350. That's a requirement. It can be more than that, but not less. So that's part of the rules of the test. And yes, if you're not taking a test, that's fine. You only need whatever you need. But in the test situation, if they tell you you need 350 words, you better have 350 words or you lose points. And, whatever from 1 to 8 you haven't done, you lose points. And you need to plan to go through it 3 times, to plan just with words like we did up at the top, write it, put it into sentences, make sure everything is spelled correctly, make sure all the pronouns refer back correctly, and then reread it and fix any little errors that you see. You need to plan to do that in the 30 minutes. So there's time management, there's skill in putting together a piece of writing and knowing what it needs where, and skill in knowing how to fix what isn't working yet. And it's a pretty cut and dried skill, really, to write for the test. And these writing principles are pretty much how you write anything, not a scientific paper, but any opinion piece or, an argument piece or a sales piece. That's what you need. You need a point. You need to tell them what you're going to tell them. You need to tell them, and then you need to tell them what you told them. That's from an organization in the US, and I don't know where else, called, do you know what it's called? The Speakers Practice organization, Karen.
speak-
Yeah, it's a public speaking practice organization. I can't remember the name of it,
I think
but that's basically the rule. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And it's true. You know, any kind of factual writing, that's what you do. The structure is different in journalism. A news article has a different structure. A scientific paper has a different structure, but everything else is basically this is how you write it. And everybody who's studied writing knows that, or eventually learns it one way or another. You know, the hard way is people come back and say, oh, you got to rewrite this. Oh, it's not good enough yet. You got to rewrite it. I've been told that often. I did not study writing in high school and college. I should have done that. And maybe I wouldn't have been told 750,000 times to rewrite.
I don't.
But I
think-
have it.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think you were talking about Toastmasters.
Yes, I was. Thank you.
Okay.
That was it. That's the organization. I think we have an opinion being expressed here. But that's the basic rule, and it makes sense. I take it you have had experience with Toastmasters.
One.
Aminu Soba.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. You didn't like it, obviously. Okay. I think
Just
I couldn't
hearing.
remember. I think I couldn't remember it for good reason, but anyway. So this is how you put together a compare and contrast piece of writing. It's not rocket science, you know. It's got a set of pieces that you put together, and you can get creative in how you do it, but you need to do it. It needs to be recognized somehow as that. And even poems have structure. You know, even the most creative pieces of writing need some kind of recognizable structure. So anyway, if you want to practice writing, have fun with this question. It's a typical TOEFL question. And one of the things that we're working on is getting you to a point where whatever kind of question you get asked, you know how to put it together. And you can actually crank out a complete and well-written piece with it, which has at least 350 words in 30 minutes or less, not much less, but you can get it done in 30 minutes. It's a good skill. And it doesn't take, it's not that hard if you do it this way. You know, if you think first of all about, okay, so what can I talk about? And you don't, because I put those things in there that people said doesn't mean those are your only possibilities, but they are possibilities. Okay? Any questions?